First day of school. Nearly 8,000 gang members are here engaging in a fierce fight. All the teachers and students are terrified. But I just stroll over, hands in my pockets. When I appear in front of them, all the gang members break out in cold sweat. Some even go weak in the knees and kneel. It's as if they've seen someone they shouldn't have. Even the arrogant leader trembles as he approaches me. It's as if he's begging for my forgiveness. Brother Feng, when did you come back? I took a puff of my cigarette, flicked the ash with disdain. You too, you're much more powerful now than when you followed me around. You've both become big shots. Even the little brothers you raised are doing well. And now you dare mess with my basket? As soon as I finish speaking, the faces of the little brothers turn pale. They look like they've seen a ghost. They realize who they've been talking back to. Even their boss shows me full respect. Who are they to mess with me? Ma Dong and Shang Zuo turn around, shouting at their little brothers. Who was the one that dared mess with Brother Feng's basket? Step forward. 4 of them tremble as they step out of the crowd. They're shaking all over. They all feel like disaster is imminent. Ma Dong and Shang Zuo take out knives and sternly shout. Do it. They give an order for their little brothers to cut off their hands. Although they know this is harsh on the little brothers, they also know it's for their protection. Because once I act, it won't just be about losing a hand. I stand there enveloped in mist, watching Ma Dong and Shang Zuo punish their little brothers. Their fear of me comes from their deep understanding of my strength. After all, in their eyes, I'm even crazier than the war maniacs who sweep across half the world. I Qin Feng when get ruthless. I'd even kill my own men, let alone them. After hearing Ma Dong and Shang Zuo's firm words, and seeing the 2 sharp knives glinting on the ground, the 4 little brothers are pale as ghosts. They're sweating like they just finished a sauna. After a brief hesitation, 2 of them grit their teeth and pick up the knives on the ground, pointing them at their left wrists. The other 2 draw out their knives, taking a deep breath and making the same move. They had never seen me before. They didn't know my background, but they knew one thing. Shang Zuo and Ma Dong, 2 notorious gang leaders, are ruthless and unreasonable. Yet when they saw me they were terrified. They stood there like children who had done something wrong. This made them realize clearly that I'm 100 times more ruthless than their boss. Do it. Don't hesitate. Otherwise, when I make a move, your baskets will end up being fed to the dogs. At that moment, one of the older gang members in the crowd quietly warned them. He was trembling all over like he had seen a ghost. He never expected to see Qin Feng, the man who once terrified all the gang leaders, back in the harbor after all these years. Now that he's returned, the harbor is probably in for another shock. After hearing that, the 4 little brothers froze for a moment. Then without hesitation they raised their K-knives and aimed them at their left wrists. They screamed in agony as they did so. No one wants to anger me. No one wants their basket fed to the dogs. Just as everyone thought a tragedy was about to unfold, suddenly the 4 little brothers clutched their right wrists, letting out heart-wrenching screams. K-knives drop to the ground. Everyone at the scene is stunned. No one knows what's happening. It's only when they see a bloody black spade of PK on the ground that they understand. It turns out that just as the 4 little brothers swung their knives, the spade quickly slashed across their right wrists, interrupting their movements. But it didn't hit their arteries. It only cut through their flesh. Otherwise they might not even have survived. Ma Dong and Shang Zuo let out a sigh of relief. They shouted at the 4 little brothers, still not thanking Brother Feng? Though they hadn't seen where the spade shot came from, they knew one thing. Only I Qin Feng could do it. I stood there with my hands in my pockets, motionless, just watching them. This made Ma Dong and Shang Zuo deeply alarmed. I've become stronger. My strength far surpasses what it was 3 years ago. This made them genuinely afraid. Thank you, Brother Feng. The 4 little brothers fell to their knees before me, bowing their heads in gratitude. Their black leather shoes were soaked through. They were clearly terrified to the point of wetting themselves. I walked up to them, took a puff from my cigarette and coldly said, "You should be thankful I'm wearing a white shirt today. If it were back in the day, if anyone dared speak to me like this, they'd end up in a coffin, and that'd be a light punishment." I've returned with a changed mindset. I don't want to step back into the underworld. I just want to live a normal life. But don't be fooled by this shirt. I can be a student. But take off this shirt. I can still be an hooligan. I stomped my foot down hard, crushing the cigarette, and my words echoed through the crowd. My words weren't just for these 4 little brothers. It was a declaration to the entire harbor. I Qin Feng just want to live a normal life. But if anyone forces me to turn back, I won't hesitate to pick up where I left off. I'll go on a killing spree. As soon as my words ended, the entrance to the Harbor University was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. Hundreds of gangsters holding K-knives didn't even dare to breathe. No one doubted my words. Back in the day I was the king of this land. Without a doubt, anything I did back then, I can still do now, as long as I want to. Looking at the sudden change at the school gate, the students watching from afar were all stunned. They couldn't quite hear what was being said on site, but from everyone's body language it was obvious. I'm not an ordinary person. Even Ma Dong and Shang Zuo, these 2 big shots from the harbor city. Even Ma Dong and Shang Zuo, upon seeing me, became as well behaved as if they were in class. Everyone was curious about who the young man in the white shirt was. Shen Jialin was also confused, staring at me and muttering to herself. Yuqing, what's going on? This person seems really impressive. Ma Dong, Shang Zuo and the gang members present looked at me as if they were grandsons meeting their grandfather. They clearly hadn't expected that a problem that even her father Shen Wanson couldn't solve would be so easily resolved by a young man barely 20 years old. There's no doubt that this HP fight isn't happening today. Looking at Ma Dong and Shang Zuo's stunned expressions, they definitely wouldn't dare to act up in front of me. Campus beauty Chu Yuqing also took a deep breath, biting her lip and muttering to herself. He seems like someone from my memories, but that person should be much older now. Could it be that this young man is the brother Feng, who saved me back then? But that person should be around 30 by now. How can he be so young? She recalled when she was 16 years old, when a group of punks had harassed her. A young man in a black casual suit had come to her rescue. After that day no one had ever bothered her family's stall again. Her father had told her, in the harbor he was the king. Now seeing me again, Chu Yuqing vaguely felt that I was that brother Feng. But that person should have been around 30 by now. How could he still be so young? When they saw me they seemed to realize that I was indeed that brother Feng who saved her. Shang Zuo and Ma Dong, still trembling, asked, Brother Feng, it's been a while but you're still so young. We're getting older and uglier. But how do you stay so youthful? Yeah, brother Feng, you look younger than when we first met you. How do you manage to stay so young? They wiped the sweat from their foreheads, stammering and smiling as they asked. It's been 3 or 4 years since we last met, yet you're even younger now. Wearing this white shirt you look just like a college student. But seeing the dominance in your eyes, they knew for sure I was the Dragon Nan, the first werewolf of Harbor City, who made countless people piss their pants back then. I sneered, wearing a golden dragon XY. You two are nothing but cattle and horses. Useless trash. Could it be that you still want to represent me? Ma Dong and Shang Zuo hurriedly apologized, slapping their own faces while grinning at me. No. Brother Feng, you are a priceless treasure. Blessed by the heavens. How could we compare to someone like you? They both understood that with their status, they were completely unworthy to ask me anything. Although now one was a big shot in the 14 Association, and the other was the leader of the Hong Gang, each commanding nearly 8,000 subordinates. They were still unworthy to even carry my shoes. I stood there watching them slap their own faces, feeling a deep sense of emotion. Back then people who wanted to give me instructions had to line up from the harbor to the capital. Now I've returned. I wanted to live a simple life. If anyone forces me to turn back, I wouldn't mind showing them the true Qin Feng, just so they know, I said, while picking up a shiny K-knife from the ground. I held it in my hand. Upon seeing this, Ma Dong and Shang Zuo were immediately frightened. They had no idea what I was doing. They thought I was going to kill someone. The next second, in front of everyone, I slammed the K-knife forcefully into the ground. The blade sunk deep into the concrete at the school gate. I pointed at the knife on the ground. My gaze swept over the more than 100 people present and I said loudly, Listen up. Help me notify everyone in the harbor, including Xie Kun. From now on, Harbor University is off limits to the underworld. Anyone who dares to step within a foot of this knife, don't blame me, Qin Feng, for killing their entire family. At this moment the school gate was completely silent. Everyone was stunned by my words. Some students who were watching stood frozen for a moment, and then they began to discuss in hushed tones. WC, this is insane. Is there really someone this powerful in this world? He is exactly the way I imagined him in my dreams. That's right. From now on, who would dare to harass Harbor University? Does anyone know what this handsome guy's name is? Which class is he from? They all admired my dominance and strength. Some girls even joked about wanting to be my little wife. Although they couldn't hear the details of our conversation, everyone could clearly hear my loud words. From now on, Harbor University is off limits to the underworld. This sentence was deeply etched into everyone's heart. It filled their faces with pride and excitement. Because before I arrived, the school had been frequently harassed by outsiders. Many students had been extorted by guards. Ma Dong and Shang Zuo nodded heavily. Got it, Brother Feng. We'll notify everyone immediately. From now on, if anyone dares to step foot on Harbor University's grounds, I'll break their legs. And that was indeed the case. Who is Qin Feng? No need for further explanation. Smart people will naturally make the right choice. Only the most ignorant, arrogant fools would dare oppose me. There were many such people in the past, but now there are fewer of them. Because those who dared oppose me back then, their graves must be 3 meters high by now. Ma Dong and Shang Zuo nodded in agreement. Brother Feng, our people and other gangs in Harbor City will always follow your command. But that Xie Kun guy, he might try something against you. He's growing strong. He has 10,000 subordinates. Shang Zuo furrowed his brows and added, That's right, Brother Feng. I'm worried Xie Kun might cause trouble for you. Their worries weren't unfounded. Back then no one dared provoke me. But in the years I've been away from Harbor, Xie Kun has grown incredibly powerful. He often calls himself the next big boss of Harbor, and brags that he doesn't take me seriously. I laughed, loudly, showing my contempt. How could the small-time Xie Kun even dare to call my name? Back then I could beat him to the ground. I can still do it now. Ma Dong and Shang Zuo were really overestimating Xie Kun. This guy thinks too highly of himself. Brother Feng, you're not doubting your strength. It's just that Xie Kun now has so many subordinates. He has 3 times more than you had back in your prime. Yeah, Brother Feng, it's still better to be cautious. Better not to clash with Xie Kun. They were still trying to persuade me. They thought Xie Kun's many subordinates might make him hard to deal with alone. I gave a cold smile. Talking about people with me Qin Feng? How could Xie Kun even compare? After saying that, I slowly took off my shoulder bag and unzipped it. I waved at Shang Zuo and Ma Dong. I signaled them to come over and take a look. When I opened the bag, Shang Zuo and Ma Dong nearly lost their balance. They trembled repeatedly, saying, "This is the leading staff of the underworld in Shangjiang, capable of mobilizing tens of thousands of men. And this is the red staff that can command 60,000 from the Hongmen of Haokong." Seeing their shock, I gave a cold smile. That's right, the Red Dragon twin staffs are in my hands now. This means that with one word from me, almost 160,000 people from Haokong and Shangjiang combined will be at harbor in an hour. If Xie Kun dares to be reckless again, I'll show him what real fear is. Shang Zuo and Ma Dong's eyes went wide. They cautiously asked me, "Brother Feng, could it be that you are now the master of Haokong?" I repeated, "The same old thing, don't ask what you shouldn't. Don't say what you shouldn't." I zipped up my shoulder bag, and looked off into the distance with a hint of resentment. Back then that dog He Hongsheng repeatedly looked down on me in public. As a result, I beat him until he begged for mercy. Now his daughter has to marry me. My revenge has long been taken. Now, I even have control over the offerings to the He family group, 30% of the shares and 13 casinos. I patted both of their shoulders and smiled. "Don't worry, considering how loyal you were to me back in the day. As long as you listen to me this time, there won't be any problems. No one in the entire harbor dares to touch you. In fact, don't just talk about the harbor. I can't find any opponents worth mentioning in the whole of Dragon Country." The two of them nodded eagerly, showing their loyalty to me. "Brother Feng, you gave us our lives. If you had stayed in the harbor, we wouldn't be in this position now. Our loyalty to you will only grow stronger in the future. Don't worry." At that moment, a bald young man ran out. He was wearing a gold watch and his name was Yang Fan. He was the wealthy second generation of Haikong University. He looked confused and asked, "Brother Dong, are we not fighting today?" I watched him and thought to myself, this kid hired Ma Dong to start a fight, and spent 300,000 yuan to set up the venue. Now that I'm here, this fight is over. Another young man in Armani walked out. He was Zhao Yang, and was Yang Fan's sworn enemy. He also looked displeased and asked, "Brother Zuo, didn't you promise me you'd teach him a lesson?" Shang Zuo glared at the two of them. "Teach him a lesson? What the hell are you talking about? You two are really foolish. Can't you see what's going on?" Obviously they haven't realized yet. Haikong University is already off limits for me, Qin Feng. Any further trouble will just bring them disaster. Yang Fan, I will return the 300,000 yuan to you. But I can't help you with this fight. It's not just me. Not a single person in Haikang's underworld dares to set foot in Haikong University again. Compared to Shang Zuo's fierceness, Ma Dong appeared much more sincere. He not only spoke kindly, but also advised carefully. He even promised to return the 300,000 yuan appearance fee. Yang Fan, filled with doubts, asked, "Brother Dong, it's not about the money. The thing is, the fight has already been arranged. We can't back down just because he showed up, right? Who is he anyway? Is he really that powerful?" He couldn't believe that a young man in his early 20s could have such influence, that even Ma Dong and Shang Zuo had to listen to him. Ma Dong patted Yang Fan on the shoulder, with a serious tone. "Have you heard the saying, the heavens are vast, the earth is vast? But Brother Feng is the greatest. If you've heard that saying, then you should know who he is. From now on, anyone in this school can be provoked. But you absolutely cannot provoke him. Otherwise both you and your Yang family behind you will disappear overnight." Upon hearing Ma Dong's words, Yang Fan trembled. He had indeed heard that rumor. But that was 5 or 6 years ago. Back when he was still in middle school. He knew that there was a man in Haikong called Brother Feng who controlled everything. No one in the whole of Longnan dared to mess with him. His methods were incredibly brutal. Now as he stood there, looking at me, he finally realized that this was Brother Feng. Yang Fan clenched his fists. He raised his voice and said, "Brother Feng, I want to follow you." To show his sincerity, he kneeled right in front of me. Back in middle school, the person he admired the most wasn't a celebrity, not a singer, but the big brother of Haikong. His desire to follow Brother Feng had taken root in his heart like a seed. Now he finally had the chance to express it. Zhao Yang, furious, pointed at me and shouted, "Yang Fan, are you crazy? It's clear that Shang Zuo and Ma Dong today have hired people to stage a show and scam us of our appearance fee. You really believe that? What's he even worth?" Shang Zuo angrily rebuked. "Teach him a lesson? What the hell?" He wanted to take down this arrogant young rich kid. I walked up to Zhao Yang with a smile and said, "Kid, considering that your father once polished my shoes, I won't hold it against you for what you just said. Go back and ask your dad. If he knows Qin Feng, then you'll know whether I'm the kind of person you said I am." I turned to Ma Dong and Shang Zuo and said, "You both can go back. I'll call if something comes up. I'll make sure the people who help me are always ready to follow my orders. Even though I've come back this time, I just want to live a peaceful life as an ordinary person. But I know that in this life, there will always be people and things that try to block my path. Ma Dong and Shang Zuo control around 2,000 people. They usually don't want to use the power of Haoshang, because once I show the Red Dragon double sticks and mobilize the troops, it won't just be a fight. It'll be an earthquake. Massive earthquake that's bound to kill many people. Shang Zuo and Ma Dong quickly nodded. Brother Feng, we are always ready for your call. Although the 14th club isn't big, we have over 1,000 people willing to charge into battle for you. At a critical moment there will be people ready to pick up arms and move forward. Shang Zuo continued, we in the Hong Gang are the same. Although we aren't as powerful as Haoshang Hongmen, everyone is willing to fight through thorns and obstacles for you. But all of us are willing to fight through thorns and obstacles for you. To sweep away anyone in our path. I patted them on the shoulder and smiled. Go back. Then I walked up to Yang Fan still kneeling on the ground. I threw out a sentence, focus on your studies. Society isn't so easy to survive in. Then I turned around and walked confidently toward the school. Yang Fan quickly scrambled to his feet. While shouting Brother Feng, he hurriedly chased after me. His group of little brothers followed behind him. After Ma Dong, Shang Zuo and Yang Fan's men retreated, only Zhao Yang and his 7 or 8 little brothers with wooden sticks were left. At the gate of Hegang University, Yang Jie, this matter can't end like this. Yeah, why don't we call your uncle? He also insulted your uncle. Uncle is a member of the Hegang Chamber of Commerce. How could he have knelt to wipe his shoes? Upon hearing his little brother's words, Zhao Yang grew even angrier. He pulled out his phone and called his father Zhao Hongyuan. On the other end of the line, Zhao Hongyuan's voice came through. Zhao Yang, what's wrong? Zhao Yang fuming said angrily. Dad, I've been bullied. Remembering Qin Feng's arrogant attitude only made him more furious. When had he ever been treated like this? The other party even claimed that his father had knelt to wipe his shoes. That's just too much. Zhao Hongyuan was furious. He pushed the secretary in his arms aside. He stood up from his chair. Someone dares to bully my son in Hegang? What's his name? What did he do? Zhao Yang, holding back his anger, replied. His name is Qin Feng. He didn't do much. He just cursed me at the school gate. He said I should be careful with my words. Don't be an idiot. He also said you knelt to wipe his shoes. As soon as Zhao Yang finished speaking, Zhao Hongyuan on the other end of the line was so shocked. He nearly dropped the phone. What? Brother Feng is back? The memory of that rainy night from 7 years ago flooded his mind. He knew he had already shown him respect, because back then not only had he knelt to wipe his shoes, but he had also licked them. Zhao Hongyuan roared. Zhao Yang, are you out of your mind? How dare you provoke someone even your father wouldn't dare? Let me tell you the truth. Back then not only did I kneel to wipe his shoes, I even licked them. Otherwise the Zhao family wouldn't have survived. The phone was on speaker and all 8 little brothers heard everything clearly. Each of them was stunned, eyes wide open. Zhao Yang was frozen in place. Dad, you really licked his shoes? He could never have imagined that what I casually mentioned was actually true. Xiao Yang, this is not about whether I licked his shoes or not. The problem is that you provoked Brother Feng. We need to hurry and ask for his forgiveness. Otherwise the Zhao group won't survive the night. Zhao Hongyuan said urgently. He was genuinely afraid that his son's reckless actions would destroy the Zhao family. At this moment Zhao Yang was completely panicked. In desperation he asked with a trembling voice. Dad, what should I do? Brother Feng seems really angry. Do you think he might really destroy our Zhao family? Zhao Hongyuan's mind was racing. Xiao Yang, does your school have any MNs? Hurry up and find a beautiful one and send her to Brother Feng. Only by doing this will the Zhao family have a chance of survival. If you can get NM involved, I'll let her handle it. Zhao Yang hung up the phone. He immediately began thinking of ways to find an MN. He wasn't afraid I was lecherous. He was just worried that the other side might not be interested in women. As long as there's an MN it'll be fine. He quickly thought of Lu Yu. Not only was she beautiful, but she was also skilled in martial arts. As the 3rd-ranking MN at Hegang University, sending her to accompany Qin Feng would definitely bring peace to the Zhao family. He wasted no time. After ending the call, Zhao Yang immediately called Lu Yu, who was in the girls' dorm, asking her to meet, saying there was something important to discuss. This concerns the survival of the Zhao family. After Zhao Yang's men withdrew, the Hegang University gate, which had been crowded just moments ago, now became eerily empty. The university students were preparing to go back to their classes. But at that moment sirens blared. Several police cars with lights flashing arrived. The 6 Gates police arrived slowly. A nearly 17-meter-tall female officer stepped out of one of the police cars. She was none other than the police flower of Heigang's 6 Gates, Xie Shanshan. What's going on? Didn't someone report that 2 gangs are fighting? Shen Jialin and Chu Yuqing emerged from the crowd. Officer, it was us who reported it. Xie Shanshan frowned and asked, what's going on? Weren't there 2 gangs fighting? Where are they? Chu Yuqing explained. Today's incident has nothing to do with 6 Gates. It was the appearance of one man that made Shang Zuo and Ma Dong too afraid to continue fighting. Shen Jialin added. This man drew a line with a knife. He declared Hegang University a forbidden zone, forbidding any gangs from entering. Xie Shanshan was stunned after hearing this. She urgently asked, "Do you know who he is?" Shen Jialin thought for a moment before answering. "His name is Qin Feng." Upon hearing Shen Jialin's words, Xie Shanshan's body trembled. She gasped. "What? You mean Brother Feng is back?" The name instantly brought her back to many memories. Xie Shanshan recalled, when she had just joined Six Gates as a junior officer. By chance she had met Qin Feng. He had helped her solve many major cases step by step. That was how she had risen to the position of captain of the homicide division. She had developed feelings for Qin Feng, but due to their different statuses, she had suppressed all those feelings. 3 years ago, after Qin Feng left Hegang, she had never seen him again. She thought he was dead. Her family even had his black and white photo hanging up with incense burned every day. She had never imagined that upon hearing the news of Qin Feng's return, she would be so shocked. Without Qin Feng, there would be no today for her. Xie Shanshan tried to calm herself and asked, "Where is he now?" Shen Jialin pointed up at Hegang University and said, "He should be inside now." Xie Shanshan felt a mix of emotions. She thought no matter what she had to see him once, even if it was just sitting down to have a meal and chat. Little did she know this time when he returned, he didn't want to see anyone. He just wanted a peaceful life, to live as an ordinary student, and say goodbye to everything from the past. But who would have expected that what happened next would not go as he wished?